So this is what I wanted to ask you, because this has been coming up quite a bit. After the Halliburton injury, the Achilles, I have read some articles and wanted to bring it up to you. So a lot of catastrophic injuries, if you want to call it, leg injuries, Achilles injuries, where does the blame fall? Is it you? I've heard the reasoning or the discussion of, well, they just play too much. They play too many games. Then I've heard the discussion of it's the type of shoes they wear.
Really?
Yeah, I've heard this, and I was listening to a sports radio show that had they were talking about, you never see these guys wear high tops anymore. It's all low top. Could it be like, basketball back in the day, you kind of wore high tops when you played.
Well, it's
right?
It's kind of stylish, but I don't think that's it. I don't think that makes a difference because it's tape. You're still taping. Like
that's true. You
still
can do the tape. So if it's not the shoe, does this all stem from basically these guys playing too much basketball to the point where they're at now of what they did in college, what they did in AAU? Because you think about it, and I know we talked about baseball, and we've even brought up to certain athletes, there's no time off anymore.
No.
Like when they're kids.
No.
It's either they play a season of this, and as soon as they leave that, they go into another track season, summer track, or sometimes it's you play baseball all year round.
Yeah.
There's never kind of like that. Like when we were kids, it was like you played Little League. You might have played a little bit in the wintertime just to kind of, but you're not like they have it now.
No, there's nowhere near like now.
Do you think it's the wear and tear on these kids nowadays? I mean, you think about it. And then the toughness. I think kids or players back in the day were a lot tougher because they could play through injuries. Whereas now, a lot of these, even though they're getting hurt more, they don't play through these little injuries.
We ran the streets of Detroit and all the time. We ran around and played football and played baseball, played basketball. We didn't get, stole the neighbor's grapes down the street and jumped the fence and ran and all over. I don't know. I think that's a good point you just made. It could be too much. Now, I don't know, I don't know when pros get started. I don't know if Cade's probably in the gym every day. He seems like he's a gym rat guy.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But you think about it, like in baseball, you don't have guys like Jack Morris, Nolan Ryan anymore. You have the big flashy guys that can throw 100 miles an hour, but chances of them pitching a complete game, like you've seen back in when did throwing complete games kind of go out of the wayside? In the 90s?
Mm-hmm. Late 90s.
So now you have like this big shiny toy, and I get it. The odds of them getting hurt are probably more extreme now, and then now they're making more money, so you're trying to save them. But sometimes though, why is it now that you're trying to protect them, but it seems like every month there's somebody going out with Tommy John?
Yeah. I
don't remember seeing that back 30 years ago.
Tommy John got it with the Yankees when he was with that was like what year? That was in the 80s, and then
no, I think that was in the 70s.
70s, yeah,
that was that's why they called it Tommy. He was the first to get it.
Right.
So it's like, but you don't even though these. I know you got more money thrown out to these players, and you're trying to protect them, but are you really protecting them? Because to be honest with you, they seem to be getting hurt more than players back in the day. I'd love to do a study on that.
Yeah, could it be body type? Could it be body type? Yeah, like your joints, your leg, like who was man? Like they were saying like taller athletes, taller basketball players usually, pass away quicker or something like. I can't remember, but
okay.
Is it body types? I think Bird was talking about that. I heard Larry Bird was mentioning that, and the wear and tear. Like, so the body's not made for running, right? Not on.
Well, it's not made for running for me.
Surfaces that
I'm not running anywhere.
Surfaces don't give,
right.
and you keep doing that. Sometimes it just goes pop.
But then I heard, the shoe debate was they said something in regards to the way the foot is in a lot of these shoes that it elevates the heel a little bit and it kind of weakens the Achilles. I've heard that.
Let's get Jared. Let's see if Jared can get a study.
I don't know.
Like if he can.
I don't know if Jared can find something.
No, I don't know if he can get it. I'm just saying, like, we can make this like if we can get like an assignment. Jared is smart. He can get it quick. Like, what's the why? Maybe for next show we can. What's the why? Why so many Achilles tendon injuries?
But you're even seeing it. It's not just it's not with the NBA. Look how many people go down like every year in football. I don't remember going back maybe this 90s and the 80s.
Well, you don't catch it in. They catch it at training camp.
Yeah, these guys go down like flies.
They don't do it in baseball.
But do you think it may be because they're playing? They don't give their bodies enough time to. And I know that's kind of weird to say because with the medical field and the advancements that we made, and you got to sit in cold water after you're done, and all this other. You know what I'm saying? You think like they know it all when it comes to medicine now. We've had so many great improvements now compared to like in the 70s and 80s and stuff like that. But I mean, when you look at it, the advancements are there. But it seems like these players are going down.
Yeah. So I don't, that's interesting. Like baseball, you don't see it.
No.
I think they drink more beer in baseball. Basketball players don't drink a lot of beer.
You think it's the beer?
They drink champagne and tequila. Baseball players, they're good old boys in the locker room. They got beer. Maybe it's beer. Morris and them didn't get hurt. So listen, when I played all my career in baseball, I never wore a cup, ever, and I hated tape. I never wore tape. Like we used to have, after college, we had a trainer. We used to have to go get tape for baseball. I couldn't do it. It felt like it cut off the circulation.
Yeah.
And I couldn't move. I didn't feel comfortable with it, so I never wore it. Basketball is not like it's a bunch of back and forth running and different cuts. You know what I mean? So you don't see that in baseball. Same as football. Like I said, they get in training camp, and they're just the wrong turn or anything.
But don't you feel like football was more of a violent sport back in the 70s, 80s, 90s compared to so? And I know we talked about it with Tony one time.
Yeah, Lawrence Taylor just said it the other day.
But do you think maybe? But when you go back and you watch a lot of film of back in the day, the pads have changed. You think it's now that everybody has these sleeker pads and
bigger, sharper helmets, heavier duty.
It's almost like, it's been kind of detrimental because you're getting all these injuries.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you had the head injuries and stuff back in the day. People would get 3 concussions in a game and go back in. You didn't have that medical
and
information.
You have to almost now these CTE stuff, and you didn't hear about a lot, but now you're kind of like, but yeah, you just didn't hear about it back then. You know what I mean? In no sport, really.
But
you didn't hear a lot of Kennedys in Dr. J's era and stuff like that.
But it's just weird to me that all these games evolve. Football's evolved, baseball's evolved, whether we like it or not. I'm sure hockey to a certain extent. But it's just like, you get the kind of shiny, faster Ferrari. These guys can have the speed. They can do this. They can do that. But it's like, if they stub their toe, they're out for 6 games. Where back in the day, that might have not happened.
And different athletes, too.
But do you feel the players are
Why you're
better now, today's players, than, let's say, back in like the 80s, 90s. And I know if we were to talk to our fathers, they would say, oh, the guys back in the 40s and 50s and early 60s were better. Do you think these players are better now?
No.
Do you think they have more talent, but they don't have as long a shelf life, career-wise? Because how many football players do you see playing 20 years like Jerry Rice? Of course, that's an anomaly. But
well, Jerry Rice shouldn't have played 20 years.
Right. or baseball. I mean, how many guys are lasting 20 years in baseball or 15 years in baseball?
I don't.
Or basketball. Even basketball.
Well, my argument is never going to be the players now. I can't name too many players better than Scottie Pippen, and I'm not even talking Jordan. I'm talking Scottie Pippen.
Okay.
I can't name too many players now better than Scottie Pippen. No. Clyde Drexler, Elijah Wan. Why do people keep saying they're more skilled and no, they weren't.
Right.
Sean Kemp, Gary Payton, Tony Parker, Steve Nash. Where do people get off saying these players are way much better now, more skilled? Where? Who?
I like to say
Mitch Whitman.
Do people really understand?
Do people understand how good Grant Hill was?
Yeah. No, I don't think they do.
Ask Michael Jordan how good he was, and Penny Hardaway. Stop with this madness. Stop with this madness. It's madness.
Right.
None of these players are good. Basketball, football. Lawrence Taylor. Who?
Yeah. I agree with
Jim
you.
Brown.
Yeah.
Barry Sanders. Who? Stop. No, they weren't. No. These kids have more advantages. They didn't have the talent, the will, the heart. They weren't better.
But isn't it funny, though, that
they
have the more advantages, like, let's say, medically, and performance enhancing,
yes. Technology, times change.
Yeah, but like I said, I feel like they're not as tough as what they were back in the day.
They weren't.
In any sport.
Nope. In any sport. Hockey, too.
Yeah.
In any sport. It's not. It's not the same. It is not. You're not going to get me with that one. I've seen enough basketball to know Moses Malone was the real deal. This is blasphemy.
Well, look at how your dad talks about Will Chamberlain.
Exactly.
You're not going to have anybody score 100 points in a game. No, and that's before the 3-point.
Not to mention average 50.
Right.
I don't care how small they were.
Right. Yeah.
Bill Russell wasn't small. There was people that stop. That's never an argument for me. That and music now and music then, and sports now and sports then, that's not even an argument.
I agree with you.
Yeah. Nope.